You're now listening to the Shift Training Show, where we're all about improving the quality of human interaction. I'm your host. My name is Flip.
My name is Vaughn. I'm your co-host.
All right. And today we're going to be talking about the different values or beliefs that contribute to improving the quality of human interaction, or in some cases, what makes it harder to connect with others.
All right, let's begin.
All right, cool. So I would say let's try to identify a couple of key elements that usually make it hard for us to connect or relate to other people. Vaughn, what would you say is one of those things that when you're interacting with somebody else makes it hard to really connect with them?
Yeah, so let's start with what we just talked about, the values. I think most people underestimate how much would affect you in terms of what values that you have. Like, for example, if you value growth, discipline and honesty, integrity, while the other person is valuing ego, validation, seeking for attention, things like that, then you're going to have a different, conversation. One might want to rise to the occasion, wants understanding, while the other one wants to compete, wants to win all the time. And I think that's where the belief comes through again, right? As well. I think the belief that people have is like a perception, right? Like a perception of what they have. So sometimes what seems to be neutral, or if they get, criticism or feedback from other people, they might take that as a threat. So that alone, that circumstance will have a different scenario when it comes to interaction. But if you are someone who doesn't get, treat that as a threat, then you'll rise more in the occasion, like I said.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I would say initially having those different frames of reference, right? Because one set of values is coloring the way you view the world. Your perception is one way, and the other set is leading you to view the world another way. And sometimes if those values, what's important or what's deemed important is maybe in opposition, it makes it hard for people to connect. Is that more or less?
Yeah, exactly. And, I think part of that is also when you have certain patterns that becomes your identity. That's why a lot of people are being stuck on their old behavior. That's harder to connect.
Right. Assuming that the pattern is the forever, it is the them. I think that provides another trap. So I would say, let's say we'll start with one of the areas that we know impacts that is, what are the values or what are the shared values? And then perhaps what are some of the areas where certain values or belief systems are in direct opposition? And then additionally, let's say sense of identity. So for example, if what I value is a part of my identity and I see that what you value and how you identify is maybe in opposition or conflict, I don't see a way in which your perception of reality and my perception of reality can coexist, then maybe that creates a point of conflict or tension, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I would say that invites the first question around that, which is like, for most people to consider what is the potential reality or shared reality that you and another person in that exact position may have. So if your values or whatever it is, maybe I perceive them in opposition. Maybe they're not even actually in direct opposition to me. Maybe they're just different and I don't agree, right? I guess the question becomes, how can we find, quote unquote, the middle ground for us to be able to connect and move forward? Where is it? Because I think a lot of people assume that the way that everyone should be able to connect should be instant. There should be chemistry. It should just be like, it should just feel good. So that determines whether you can connect with somebody or not. But I think that in itself is an inability to manage discomfort. Thinking that everything has to be easy or you can't connect with somebody. I think that that's a mistake. And I think we lose a lot of different benefits just because we want to avoid discomfort with somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, right? Like, how do you find that middle ground in terms of there is an opposition? I think it's just respecting each other's point of view. I think it is because it comes down to how you were raised as a child. The culture is different, and it doesn't mean that you guys cannot connect because of that. Like we talk about how the perception doesn't mean that that's your enemy. It's more like it's a different view.
Right, 100%. It's just looking at it from a different angle. You could be looking at something from up here, you're looking at it from down here, over there. Sometimes the way that we are aimed, like our aim is like what it is. So, for example, like you mentioned, if someone wants to, I'm seeking happiness, and everything that I'm looking for has to do with, I need to fulfill how I feel. Like I need to make myself feel good, and I need to feel good all the time. That makes it so you can only see a particular direction because of your aim being a particular place. So the target's over here and I'm looking over here. I'm missing everything that I might be able to see or enjoy that's over here simply because I'm so fixated on this one thing that's over there. So I think it's important for us to be able to detach sometimes from the thing that we go, this is the thing, the only thing I need in my life. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, well, maybe not. You don't know. So stop looking over there. Maybe look at a different target,
Yeah.
look around and see what else you might find, you know?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I agree.
And I think with regard to connecting to other people, I think the way to build that bridge is just to find similar things that are important to you, like understanding the why. Like, yeah, we might have different approaches towards getting to a particular target, but sometimes we do have the same target,
Right.
and sometimes we don't know where that is.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe we just think the path is different.
Exactly. I think of it more like a basketball, you know. Both of you have different beliefs, values, but the goal is to win a championship. Then it doesn't have to be kind of like the same.
100%. I would say when we talk about that, I would say a big part of that is our environment influencing us. So let's talk a little bit about that. What are your thoughts on how our environment influences our values and our beliefs, which ultimately influences how we show up?
Yeah, I think that most people underestimate how much the environment influences us and how it affects our relationship. So we talk about the values, the beliefs and the patterns that we do, and like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to that, you're definitely going to have a different environment. Like for example, if you are hanging out with people that are growth minded, disciplined, someone seeking the truth, then you're definitely going to have a different conversation. But if you're somebody who's doing the opposite, then that's what's going to influence you. You know, there's a saying, you're the average five people. What was that?
You're the average of the five people you spend the most time with.
Exactly. So that will definitely shape you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also to be mindful of. Something that is mentioned or an idea is the idea of the culture scape and trying to be aware. And we've talked about this in a previous episode where it's just like being aware of your environment. Fish doesn't know that they're in water and that it's wet. They just
Mhm.
live in the water, right?
Yeah.
So are you a fish living in a tank? You have no clue that you're in a tank or in the water. Are you
Yeah.
completely oblivious? Or are you aware that, I'm in a particular environment. I'm around these kinds of situations. These situations continue to happen due to the responses of myself and these people that I'm around. Do I want something different? And what does that look like? And if you just look at a different environment, for example, if I'm in a fish tank and I'm in the water and it's always wet, and I can see outside the fish tank and I can acknowledge, wait a minute, that person is somewhere else.
Mhm.
And it looks like they can just eat whenever they want. They look like they're in a very favorable position.
Mhm.
Maybe I want to find out, wait, what am I? And you just start looking around and go, I see where I'm at. I see what's going on here. Okay, we're starting to build that, not only just self-awareness, but a little bit of social awareness. You're starting to realize maybe the people around you, they don't want something different. And maybe you do. So maybe you need to find out
Yeah.
how to be around people who want something different.
Yeah, I think additionally to that, I think that's why it's so important to curate on what you see in your social media, Instagrams, TikTok, Facebook. I think once you curate that to more towards the positive part or things that will help you grow, then that is what you're feeding in your brain. But if it's completely the opposite, then you are more likely to uh, be in your how do you say that, like be more impulsive with your decisions.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that thing about like a plant, right? Like if you plant in a toxic soil, then don't expect to grow it in a healthy way.
Yeah, absolutely not. So this makes me think of a question regarding social awareness. Do you think social media is a good way to grow your social awareness?
Oh, it depends, right? I think, like I said, if you curate it to the one that's good for you, like it's positive, then it could be good because that most of my information, I kind of like get them from social media to people that I follow. Like for example, the books that I read, and I follow that specific person. So most of those information will feed back to me.
I have a different view on that. I think that if you are invested in social media, even if your account is curated, like maybe you like being rage baited and you like being all up in politics, or maybe you like being super invested in something else, whatever it is. I don't think it's a good way to grow your social awareness. And the reason why is because confirmation bias just makes you look and see at only more of what you already want to see. So unless you are on the social media platform and you're looking at maybe all the things and you're seeing how other people respond, I would say no. I think one of the better ways to grow your social awareness is asking people questions and having conversations with them and listening. So I think if you really want to grow your social awareness, you need more diversity of opinion and thought, and you need to be able to hear it, and then you'll have a better understanding of certain situations or nuance. So for example, if I'm on social media and let's say my profile, my stuff's not completely curated, or I'm going to explore different stuff, go look in the comments and see the different things that people have to say. You'll start to see between interactions between somebody who says something that people have positive responses to versus something somebody says people have negative responses to. Maybe you'll start to understand why people tend to have those negative responses, but you won't really know if you don't have conversations with people.
Yeah.
So I think that if you use it the way that you described it, it's not a good way to grow your social awareness. But I think if you look at it detached, like you're observing things, that's how you will build your social awareness. Because I think if you're caught up in the middle of the sauce, it's hard for you to be able to understand what's happening in the room. Like if you're dead center of the room and there's people dancing all around you and jumping up and down or whatever, you can only see that. But if you're out of it and you step back, and let's say we put you on a little step onto something and you can look and go, oh, I can see the room a little bit better. Oh, I need to get over there. Okay, cool. And then you can go back down and work your way through.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Sometimes it's so many noise that you forget that this might not be the best way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is one of the things that's ironic about social media and connecting with people. I think that also a lot of people, as we know, like a lot of people tend to struggle with connecting with people in person these days. It's way more common, especially for like the gen that grew up with cell phones in their hand and have always had cell phones and have always had social media platforms around. Like, I feel like it's really hard for them to really pay attention and pick up on maybe certain social cues.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any consistent set of what would be social norms or social what's acceptable. Like usually on social media, this is acceptable, this is a cool trend. Now it's the next thing. Like there's nothing that persists really like that. I mean, some things, but for the most part, there isn't anything that persists. Whereas to like, if you're on a particular sports team or you're in a particular like local community around people, usually the rules are a little bit more persistent and last a little bit longer. So it's easier for you to understand what makes sense in a situation versus not.
That's true. I think looking at, and while we're talking about this, I just thought about my childhood. When I was little, growing up in the Philippines, we didn't really have social media, so we are forced to go outside, make some friends, and those situation helps me to connect with them in a way like, okay, how does this interaction goes when it comes to games? Someone's cheating, you kind of like get to know the other person, and I think that becomes harder in the modern days, like the Gen Z, because of the rise of social media. We got a chat GPT they could just speak with, with the AI. And I think the danger on that is, I think chat GPT is very agreeable. And when it comes to talking to other people, you have that dynamic of, you have feedback.
Right.
So I think that's completely different on just somebody who's just agreeing with you.
Yeah. I think if there's no exchange, there's no connection.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to receive how you want to receive, or you just want to say whatever you want to say, there's no exchange. And sometimes connection itself has friction. I think too many people expect connection to be frictionless, but that's not good. That's actually bad. And the quality of what you're going to get is not going to hit as well as you think it will. It might feel good in the short term, but I promise you, it is not going to hit the way you think it's going to hit long term. There are some exceptions, but I promise you, do not be leaning into the, well, on this rare occasion that, no, I know this example of so, like, don't do that. Like, you need to look at what's really going on
Yeah.
because you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, I think that friction, that disagreement is what creates that human interaction be, stronger than just being agreeable.
Yeah, 100% helps us build that emotional resilience and ability to sit with discomfort, which we know is essential. Um, was there anything else? Well, I want to talk about this. So our values, our beliefs influence how we show up, right? And the choices that we make. And when we run into opposition, it's like, how do we navigate that, right? So you have to choose wisely about that. I would say try to always find a common ground as best as you can. Understand when you may have to walk away from something, and it doesn't mean you have to be an antagonist or throw a fit or set stuff on fire. You could just simply go, well, I can't get with that, and I myself literally can't find a way. And that's okay. Go ahead, dismiss yourself, but it doesn't mean you have to demonize somebody else.
Right.
That's a totally different thing. And I would also say building your social awareness requires you to be able to listen. So you got to be able to receive more than you trying to get something from people. That won't build your social awareness. You need to really just listen, just be present, listen, ask questions, really try to comprehend if you want to build your awareness, maybe even of yourself as well, but definitely social awareness if you want to be aware of what's going on. And I think another good example is this, like in salsa and bachata in the dance world, there are certain things that you learn to do or not do within that space.
Yeah.
There are certain things that that are normally maybe even more acceptable or not acceptable when you're in that space or not, just because the rules are different. And I think that in itself, like doing something where you go into a different environment where there are specific rules that you have to learn, that's going to help you build your social awareness as well.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you want to touch on for social awareness, values, how that affects our ability to connect with other people?
I think that's pretty much it. I think I covered the part that I think it's important.
Okay, cool. All right, everybody. Well, if you're not already subscribed, like, follow, share, all the things, please do those things. Please subscribe. And we can't wait to see you in the next episode. Have a good one.